love and happiness. Yeah. Something that can make you do wrong, make you do right. Yeah. Love.
Okay, this is Brother Johnny of the 19 Report, Manning, South Carolina. Sincerely thanking everyone and anyone that will tune in to this broadcast. I just find it so ironic, and it gets very frustrating when you put together a presentation and you're supposed to be on social media that is, f- um, it has no restrictions on it. But I find that whatever title I put to any of my commentaries, from YouTube to Facebook, everything starts to scramble up. So I was just on the air, and my whole thing just started to scramble up, and all types of sounds and everything just started coming through the speakers. So I had to start over. And this is the ironic thing to me, and this is the sad thing to me as well. I never like to I never like to go live and keep looking at the numbers to see who's listening to me, because that distracts me. But I noticed that on Facebook and other social media sites, playing live music, it's supposed to be prohibited. But I've seen DJs and other people play 1 and 2 hour sets. They play all of their music for 1 and 2 hours on Facebook with no distractions, no disruptions. Everything goes all the way through. Hundreds and thousands of people are listening to this music, sharing the music, and helping whoever it is that's playing the music, entertainment, to grow. As soon as I get on, it seems like, and my title for today was Dumbing Down of Our Children. When I put that title in, all of a sudden everything started to scramble. Now, Facebook doesn't belong to me. YouTube doesn't belong to me. I have no stock in it. I have really no say in it. So whatever social media I'm using is really just, to me, I guess, a gift for a time. But it already feels as if though certain people are targeted and restricted on these social websites where my streams never flow smoothly. So I was just on the air. The title for today was Dumbing Down of Our Children. I didn't put it into the stream. I'm streaming from my phone, and the reason I didn't, because it feels as if though the algorithms of Facebook automatically judges your title, what you're talking about, what you're doing, and instantaneously scramble the signal. Proof of that to me is the fact that every time I come on, my titles, of course, are controversial, but Facebook has labeled me in my profile without my permission. Facebook has labeled me as an extreme liberal. Most people say that I'm a racist, but Facebook says that I'm an extreme liberal. And the most heartbreaking part of all of this, I guess, is, especially in Manning, South Carolina, how many people will listen and will share, as if though if you don't listen to something that is true, you're not held accountable for it. That's how we think. So we pick through the Bible and we find things that is conducive to how we are. We pick through religious literature and we find things that go along with who we are. And we teach from that standpoint, and it looks as if though we are actually blessed by God and totally holy. But there are some things that are missing. Now, today I wanted to talk a little bit about dumbing down of our children. I was reading an article on last night from Reader's Digest. It didn't have a date on it, though. So I don't know exactly when the article was written. Anyone notice how everyone is all of a sudden coming down with allergies? That's just something I wanted to say because I'm wheezing right now. I've developed a peanut allergy, almond allergy. All of the nuts that I used to like, I can no longer eat because it literally closes up my lungs. So I'm wheezing right now. Most people in the wintertime now are suffering from allergies. This is something to talk about. But because we're talking about something no one wants to address, we would rather talk about who won the Grammys last night, as if though someone on the Grammys, their win will affect our lives vicariously. Something is happening in the air. Something is happening in the food. Something is happening in the water. And it is causing us to break down, our immune systems to break down. As if though that's not enough, something is happening with the information that we're being programmed with that is causing us to become even more dumb. If there is such a word, more dumb, so two words, or dumber. There is a movie out called Idiocracy. If you haven't seen it, look at it. It talks about how this country will be in the near future. How looking at a person's behind passing gas will be the hottest movie, the hottest ticket. You go see that in the movies. Just watching a person pass gas on screen, that will be the hottest ticket, because we've been dumbed down to the point where they were using Gatorade to water the plants and the plants wouldn't grow. And the dumbest person from the past or the future was sent and tried to explain to them that if you use water, the plants will grow. So they made the dumbest person from the future the president of the near future, because he was smarter than all the dummies of the time. The dumbing down of our children. Have you noticed that by the time our children are 11 or 12 years old, they lose interest not only in school, but they lose interest in learning? I want to talk about that in a few minutes, and I hope that that I'm not blocked on my phone this time, and I hope that I'm allowed to continue to play a few songs as we go through this. So we're talking today about, is the American school system damaging our children? And the subtitle, Education Has Become an American Institution of the Worst Kind. So stay with us. We will be right back in a few minutes. Okay, we're back. This is Brother Johnny of the 19 Report, Manning, South Carolina, trying to bring a little levity to the broadcast in hopes that more people will listen to it, because it seems as if though anything pertaining to entertainment just seems to get top billing. And I'm so disappointed, really, in South Carolina. I'm so disappointed and so dismayed at Manning, South Carolina in particular, at how cowardly we are, even though we claim we are of God and with God. Everybody is preaching the word of God, but no one is looking deep enough, or should I say only a few are looking deep enough into the issues. I saw Minister Charles. How you doing, brother? I saw Minister Charles post up today about praying for children, and he always does that, and I appreciate that, because more than anything, our children need prayer. The dumbing down of our children is the topic today, but I couldn't type it into my headline because my videos are always being scrambled. And also, Minister Charles will be talking very soon. I think the flyer is up on Facebook about how to improve the community. I think it's going to be a great topic. I think he and Elder Bennett, they reach the people in a way that if the information that they are giving is from God, and I believe it is, and if the information that they are giving is from their heart, and I also believe that it is as well, it can touch the people. So I applaud people who are putting their very best forward, But I encourage people also, by God's permission, to listen to what is being said on the 19 report, because I firmly believe I had to live everything that I'm talking about. I don't talk about anything that I have not lived. I'm not speculating. I'm not making accusations. What I'm saying is what I lived. So I wanted to talk today a little bit about the dumbing down of our children in the school system. And this is an article that I was reading last night from Reader's Digest. Again, it doesn't have a date on it, but it is entitled, "Is the American School System Damaging Our Children?" And then it says education has become an American institution of the worst kind. Now, first of all, I want to say this. To all of the school teachers, all of the parents who are involved with the school, to all of the people who try their best to educate our children with the curriculum that is placed before them, this is not an attack on you. I admire anyone who can make an honest attempt to teach our children, because I have homeschooled my children for years, and it is a very, very difficult process. But I want to go into this article, and we're going to try not to stay too long. Incidentally, if you're on our website on YouTube, I will be uploading this to YouTube. Oh man, live streaming is it's not very good to me. And by the time I get the stream going, my thoughts are just raveled, and I can't hold on to what God has given me to say. So I want to go right into this. I'm skipping some of it, so I'm quoting everything that is being said by the writer Peter Gray. And the reason I'm quoting it is because I believe it. It's because it has been proven. Our children are in trouble. It says parents send their children to school with the best intentions, believing that formal education is what kids need to become productive, happy adults. Many parents do have qualms about how well schools are performing, but the conventional wisdom is that these issues can be resolved with more money, which we're always talking about. Bigger curriculums, more testing, more money. It can't be resolved with that. That is not the issue. We believe that it can be resolved with better teachers. I think most of the teachers are qualified to teach. More challenging curricula or more rigorous tests, those I just totally disagree with. But what if the real problem is the school itself? This is the question that's being asked. The unfortunate fact is that one of our most cherished institutions is by its very nature failing our children and our society. Now, on last week, I talked about rape, I talked about molestation, and I talked about how a lot of our children have been raped and molested in school, in the locker rooms, how they have been persuaded to try another way of life because they feel unloved in their homes, and the people that show them love convince them to do something other than that which is of their nature. The spirit in the building, the spirit in the minds of the children, the spirit in the hearts of the people are now contrary to God. I'm going to prove that in a minute. Now, the article continues on, and I'm quoting this. Children are required to be in school where their freedom is greatly restricted. This is the first problem that I had with school. My intentions when I was in school, I did much better in college, but my intentions when I was in school was to be one of the eggheads. But the curriculum and the way it was taught made me feel so dumb that eventually I became a class clown. So I would rather people laugh at me than to look like a fool. I struggled through school, although I loved learning, and I still love learning, and I'm not using myself as an example for you to pity. I don't need that. I'm using myself as an example of the people that are going through it right now that we should be concerned about, because prayer without works are futile. They just don't produce what we need, because in most cases we aren't even aware of what we're praying for. We're just praying. Just pray. And you don't have a specific thing that we are praying for. So that causes an issue in the prayer reaching its destination. I hope that makes sense. It's like a person who is told to go west. You go west and you will find your future, your destination. Go west. But they get confused and they go east. As they're going east, they see a lot of great things in the east. They indulge in a lot of fun things in the east. They find work, they find pleasure, they find a mate to marry, they find a home in the east, but they're going in the wrong direction. And once they get there, they've convinced themselves, this is where I'm supposed to be. Now the person who is supposed to go east and live in the place where you're living says, you're in my place. You say, I've built a life here. I can't help that. You were supposed to go west and you went east and you took my spot. This is what happened with Christopher Columbus. He discovered people already here, and since he was tired, let's just kill them all. Let's kill all the native people, the indigenous people, and claim the land for ourselves. This is what is happening in education. The children are going along to get along, but most of them are reading in the 8th grade on a 4th grade level, in the 12th grade on a 9th grade level, and in the, and so on. Their reading and their reading comprehension are not up to par. These are the people who are later in life becoming ministers. They don't read and comprehend properly, yet they are attempting to interpret a very sophisticated book. And the Bible is a sophisticated book, a secret book with secret passages. When it talks about giants, it's not talking about actual giants. When it talks about dragons and demons and devils, these are physical people with the characteristics of evil. But if you don't know how to interpret scripture, how to interpret words, how to comprehend, how to look up words, you get lost. I'm talking about the dumbing down of our children. The article goes on to say that the children are required to do one thing all the time. And there's one particular place where I wanted to get. It talks about how the enthusiasm for learning has died by the time the child is 11 years old. It says, and scientists have investigated how children naturally learn. They've realized that kids do so most deeply and fully with greatness, enthusiasm in conditions that are almost opposite to those of the school system. So the school system is designed to indoctrinate children who are creative into a certain way of learning. And if they don't get that form of learning, if they act out, if they rebel against that form of learning, they are diagnosed as attention deficit, ADHD, ADD. And we automatically agree to these different drugs to give our children that leaves them lethargic. Because the system is not designed to teach the way that the child learns. The system is designed to teach and force the child to learn the way that it's being taught. Now, I'm not coming down on school. I've been to school. I completed school. I've been to college. I completed college. I've completed courses online. I've completed Photoshop courses. I've completed mental health courses. I've completed a lot. I love to learn. And I love to share immediately when I learn, because I don't know if I'm going to be living tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to be capable to articulate what I've learned tomorrow. So immediately when I learn, I want to share it. Most people take that as showing off or arrogance. Well, these are foolish people. Because I've never showed any signs of being arrogant, I don't think. But I do want to share this information mostly with the young, because the old have decided, with the analogy that I gave with East and West, the old have decided, I'm going to stay where I am. I am not going to try to go back. So the article says compulsory education has been a fixture of our culture now for several generations. Talks about President Obama and education, Arne Duncan, and how scientific evidence about how children learn, but nothing could be further from the truth about how children learn, because they're saying when children are in school longer, they learn better. This is not so. This is an absolute lie. Children get bored. Children get confused. Children get afraid to express the fact that they don't understand. And then they fall into a deep depression. Watch your children as they get dressed and go out to the bus and come home. It is a dreary thing. It is a systematic thing that makes them like robots. And at a time when your child was 5 and 6 and so creative and so eager to learn and try new things on their own terms, now they're being forced to do it on someone else's terms before they're given the opportunity to learn on their own. I took a college course, math. And the teacher taught the math in a way that I just could not learn it. So I took the math and I put it in a way that I can understand it. But when I handed in my test and my worksheet that I wrote on, I was accused of cheating because the teacher didn't understand what I did. And I took the time to explain it to her, and she said, these are her words, "You are scaring me because I don't understand how you got the right answer, even though you got it." I said, what does it matter that you don't understand how I got it, as long as I got it and I understand it? That was not permitted. I had to learn it the way she wanted me to learn it. And that was very difficult for me. Now, the article says, and I'm talking about myself, but I'm talking about others because I had a conversation with two young men on yesterday, and one completed school. He went to Job Corps to finish, and one didn't get his diploma. They dropped out. I have a son that dropped out, and I have a 11-year-old son that is just as smart as he wants to be, but he chooses not to do the work. So I have to stay on him, because if you're going to survive in this world, you're going to have to be able to answer the call of what this world requires. And on top of that, in your mind, the information that keeps you happy, you hold on to that, because you'll be able to use that with the degree and the diploma that you get that you really just didn't feel like getting. I have another son, always A/B honor roll student, went with a free ride to Morris College, and I went there one day to bring him some supplies, and he had left. He was gone. The school system did not capture his attention, so he left, scholarship and all. So it says, schools as we know them today are products of history, not of research. Again, of history, not of research. The blueprint for them was developed during the Protestant Reformation, when schools were created to teach children to read the Bible. And guess what? Black children weren't allowed to read the Bible. Black men and women weren't allowed to read the Bible. So while this was going on, we were still illiterate. And if we were found out to be one who could read, either our eyes were plucked out or our tongue was cut off, or we were murdered. I got to tell it now. If we are being fair, as a black man, I speak from a black perspective. Now, since we all based our life, thoughts, and actions on Facebook, I'm going to say this again. Facebook will rate you, your political affiliation, and they do that through algorithms. When I checked my political affiliation, they labeled me as an extreme liberal, which means I'm open to things. And I am. I always have been. I can listen to you tell your side of the story and say, I understand that. And then I can listen to the person who was arguing with you tell their side of the story and then say, oh, I understand that too. And I really understand both sides. I do. And many of you are that way too. Now, when schools were taken over by the state, made compulsory and directed towards secular ends, the basic structure and methods of teaching remained unchanged. So where people were able to read and comprehend all the way at the 50-yard line, we were not even in the ballpark yet. And if you know we're not sprint runners. This you got to understand about blacks in America. Africans are long distance runners. You see them little Kenyans, they'll run 4,000 miles and they still be running, boy, and they go keep running until they make the race. We are we're sprinters. And if we can't finish the race fast, we quit. So if our children can't finish the race fast, they quit. Our job is to teach them how to become distant runners, to teach them how A and B relates to C and C relates to Z. That's our job. But what we're told in school is you want to get an education, you want to get your diploma so you can get a good job. Well, our parents did that, and we see them struggling and complaining every day. So that is no motivation for our children to continue on in that direction. I'm hoping this makes sense because this is a blueprint by God's permission to doing better. I thank you for tuning in. This is Brother Johnny of the 19 Report, Manning, South Carolina. We live on Facebook. We're live. We're going to be recording this for YouTube. And I hope that we will stop being so, you know what? God is not a punk. And God is going to see who is punctified. The message is clear to many of us, but we are afraid to say anything about what God says for fear of losing positions, power, and fake friendship and money. Thinking that if we say nothing and keep these false images on our side, we're blessed. The scripture that I read said there's a time and a place for everything under the sun, a time to laugh, time to cry, time to live, time to die, time to kill, time to be killed. But according to the way people do it now, every day is a happy day. How is that? What scripture are you reading? Our children are depressed. I talked to a young man yesterday that said at 11 years old, he was smoking marijuana, and he was smoking it religiously. He said stuff was going on in my head that I couldn't verbally express, and no one understood me, so I got angry and frustrated, and I lashed out at everyone, and the only time I was calm was when I was smoking marijuana. And I said, "Do you still smoke it?" He said, "No, I don't smoke it anymore." I said, "Are you still angry?" He said, "Yes, sir. I'm very angry, but I'm learning how to control my anger. It's just that when I'm trying to tell people things and they don't understand me, I get frustrated." Our school system is that way. When I was trying to tell the lady that I understood the mathematical equations, and I proved to her that I understood them, but I didn't do it in the way she wanted to, I became the liar. I became the cheater. I became the person that could be criticized and ostracized because the teacher said that I'm a bad person. I had a school counselor to call the police on me when I was taking my daughter to Manning Primary School. And she said because she took my daughter out of my hands, told her to go to class and disrespected me. And I said, if you can't respect me as her father, you're trying to emasculate me. You're trying to make my daughter think that you as a supervisor have more control over her than I do. I'm taking her home. So when I went to take my daughter home, she was 3 years old. This lady called the police, and the first thing she said, "I have a hostile parent." And boy, they came shooting up there like lightning. White cop, black cop. And I stayed. I didn't run. I ain't going nowhere. I said if I was hostile, I would have punched you in the face. But I'm all the way on the other side of the counter, and you're on the phone. The minute they came, the black cop comes up in my face. "You want me to put the cuffs on him?" White cop says, "No, don't cuff him." I said to the black cop, "Cuff me for what?" So I left the premises. And from that day on, I felt as if though the school system had let me down and emasculated me. And I really didn't want anything to do with it. And I really didn't want my children to have anything else to do with it. But our children are being, and I had to go through that by myself. In fact, when I went home, I cried like a baby. And my ex-wife sided with the school. She's such an idiot. Because they see no value in black men, but sex, finances, and fixing things. And sex is not the word I wanted to use. It starts with an F too. Effing, finances, and fixing things. That's all we are worth. So our children are taught to do things with their hands. Build things, do things with your hands. And they lose interest in school, and video games and cell phones and social media becomes the norm. And they can use memes and shorthand to convey messages, and they don't know how to speak properly, how to act, how to convey their feelings properly, as the young man was telling me on yesterday. And I told him, I'm going to help you learn how to talk. I said, first thing, when you come in this is my home, when you come in here, you lower your voice. Second things, be careful with the profanity. I don't mind it, but don't overuse it. I said, third thing, be respectful and learn how to behave in a business setting. And the fourth thing was, and to me the most important, learn to be patient. I said, you do these things in the name of God and you will be successful, but it may not be success on the level that the world says success is. It may not be a Ferrari or a Bentley or a big 2-story house that you don't need. But it will be success in the church that God placed inside of you. We are all God's children of the Most High God. The temple, the place, the God that you're looking for, the energy that you desire is within you, but you're fighting against yourself. The dumbing down of our children has made everyone to blame someone else. The liberals blaming I don't even know the different groups because I don't care. But the Christians are saying it's the Muslims' fault. The Mexicans are saying it's the Hispanic fault. The Chinese. We're always scapegoating. Scapegoating dumbs you down because it causes you to not take responsibility for what you're held accountable for. First, it's you. Then it's your children, your family, your community, your neighborhood, your state, your county, your country. But we would rather blame Donald Trump. Now I'm going to finish this. When school was taken over, I read that, but I wanted to get to a part. Most students, rather A students, C students, are failing ones. Listen to this. Rather A students, C students are failing, have lost their zest for learning by the time they've reached middle school or high school. Now, my son is 11. Smart as a whip. Smart enough to lie. And was all A's at the beginning of the year. I told him, I'm going to put you in charge of your curriculum, your responsibility. You handle it. You wake up, you wash your face, you go to class, you do all of that. That's your responsibility just in case something happens to me. He chose not to learn. Then he comes to me one day, I'm failing in 3 classes. I'm failing. I need your help. F's. And I said, why are you failing? I go back over the work with him. He makes hundreds on most of the stuff like that. Just quit. He stopped. This is not only scientific fact, I am living proof. Says most students, rather A student, C student, or failing ones, have lost their zest for learning. By the time they've reached middle school or high school, in a telling research study, Professor Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi and Jeremy Hunter fitted more than, listen to this now, they fitted more than 800 6th graders, 12th graders from 33 different schools across the world. They fitted them with something, with a special wristwatch that emitted a signal at random times of the day. Each time they received a signal, the student filled out a questionnaire indicating where they were, what they were doing, and how happy or unhappy they felt at that moment. The lowest level of happiness by far were reported when the children were in school, where they were often bored, often anxious, or both. Other researchers have shown that with each successful grade, students develop increasingly negative attitudes towards the subject taught, especially math and science. When my son was 1 year old, he had made up in his mind that he wanted to be an engineer. I told him, I'm going to guard you because by the time black boys turn 12, they want to be a rapper. I said because they want to be an entertainer, a ball player. I don't know. I want to be a fireman, a policeman. We need farmers because whoever feeds you can kill you. We need scientists because whoever develops the proper chemicals to put in the water to clean the water can either make you healthy or kill you. Whoever feeds you is in charge. I don't care if you are a billionaire, you have to eat. So whoever is growing the food and processing the food is the God. Whoever makes the money works for the person who processes the food. We need farmers. We need engineers, agriculturalists. We need non-conventional teachers. And I'm talking about for black and white. We need spiritual leaders who don't talk all the time, but listen first. I always encourage spiritual leaders to start their sermon with this. I am going to talk about this today. At the end of this sermon, I'm going to give you 20 to 30 minutes to ask questions about what I taught. Not walking away thinking that because you were moving around and hopping and jumping that you look at these children when they're in church. Either they're on their phones, they're asleep, or they're in a deer in the headlight daze. Or they're dancing around because the beat reminds them of that last beat from my man's in them. Engage them. At the end of the sermon, any question you have to ask me about the sermon, I will answer. And if I can't, I ask that you give me time to study. And on next week, we'll start with the answers to the questions you ask, and then we'll go into the sermon. The dumbing down of our children, it is deliberate. I was telling a friend of mine about how we would sit down in front of cartoons and be nurtured by the cartoons. Psychologically, the Roadrunner never died. The Coyote never died, even though he got holes blown in him. You know, all of these things happened to him. Psychologically, that made us to think we could never die. But today in society, they have transgender heroes. There's a cartoon on Nickelodeon where on Adult Swim where the boy, when he becomes a superhero, turns into a girl. I have no problem with that when you understand that God, we're made from male and female, so there are both of those tendencies in everyone. But when you are seeing it from a literal point of view, see, that emasculates males. And when males are, and I'm not talking about gay or homosexual, I'm talking about emasculated mentally, where you are submissive to anyone that sounds and looks more important than you are. You stand up for nothing. There is no word in the English dictionary for breaking a woman. But emasculate is breaking a man and making him like a female with feminine tendencies. I've never been a fighter, but I've never been afraid to fight for what I believe. I talked to God when I was a little boy. I saw visions when I was a little boy. terrified me when I was a little boy. I saw my father dead when I was a little boy. So when he died, I knew how he died, and I knew he was happy to be dead because his life was so tough for him. I saw my brother die. I saw my mother die. That's some kind of way to go, huh? Everything I saw my ex-wife cheating on me. I saw who it was. I saw that some of my children that I gave my last name were not biologically mine. I saw these things, but I had to walk into it. I couldn't just say this is what it is and do it, because I would be to blame. Like, you jumping the gun, it didn't happen, and you're saying it happened. Well, I'm not a prophet. God said, I'm showing you this because you have to walk into this. And I've been shown many other things too. None of them pleasant. I never see pleasant things. But I am telling you, in South Carolina, there is an elite class of whites who are now tired of fighting the elite fight. So they have chosen an elite class of blacks who have no concern for you or me or our children, but they will make you think that they do. I see faces, I know names, but it's not for me to say, and I won't say. I never will say. I never said before, and God willing, I never will say, but I know your faces. It's like you see them, and you can see their aura around them. You can see the energy around them. You know what they're about. Most of the time, because they have a position of power, they convince people that you're the bad person. So God says, be quiet. Because the more you talk, the more you look like the bad person. But they put these people in places of power, black people. And they encourage our children to go to school, pretend to be happy, get a degree, go to college, get in debt. And most of them come out of school really still illiterate, unable to take words and make them make something for themselves. People call me a beggar. I started a business almost 30 years ago. It's not the most lucrative, but I get paid and I work hard. And people think they're giving me their money. I said, you're paying me for my talent. You're paying me for a service. You're paying me for products. This hat on is a product. See? Says no weapon formed against me shall prosper. It's a novelty product, but it's a nice thing to have on. This shirt that I have on, as bright as it is a novelty product. I'm moving that out of the way. So on this side, it has Groove 19. And here it has the No Ego logo. You're going to see this logo on a lot of clothes. And here it says, deny yourself. Take up your cross and follow Christ. That's what the no ego means. Get rid of your selfish self. We are people who are willing to sacrifice our children for happiness. That's what the story of Moses leading the children to the promised land was all about. The elders would rather than 3 months in the desert, rather than a month and a half at most, scientists estimated, rather than go with what God said and go through the land of the giants and fight and win, they said, nah, we ain't going. God said, fine. You go through the desert then. Walk through the desert for 40 years when you could have been to the promised land in a month and a half. That's us today. The older people are afraid to fight. They're afraid of losing something. They're saying to the people who come with God's words, send us back to Pharaoh because Pharaoh feeds us. Pharaoh gives us water. Pharaoh treats us bad, but at least we got a place to stay. Most of your ministers are not leading you to the promised land. Our children are very unhappy, very, very unhappy. That's why they're doping, eating Tide, and trying to choke on cinnamon and anything that'll get them out of this mundane lifestyle, they will do it. So I didn't go as far into dumbing down of our children as I would like. I wanted to go into more scripture, but I found out something about the Bible. I found out from talking to some young people on yesterday that they could care less about this book. I found out that rather than be religious and follow the laws of hypocritical people, they would rather label themselves as spiritual, which is not a bad thing, but listen to what goes on in their mind as a spiritual person. I can do whatever I want to do. As long as I talk to God and don't harm other people in what I'm doing, or if I ask forgiveness. That's their mindset. That's why they can come to church half naked and don't care, because who are you to judge me? I know what you did. You sleep with my cousin and brother and them. I know you. We have to bring back literature that speaks of God and teach it in a way that children will be excited about it. It's not about the praise dancing, because I am telling you that you can act out a praise dance. You can cry as you're a good dancer. So I had a friend of mine who was not the best martial artist when we were taking martial arts with Shotokan karate, but he was a good dancer. So when we performed, he would always go into competitions that was for form in fighting, because he was a good dancer. So he would do all of his moves, but he made them look like dance moves. And he always went home with the best trophy, but he wasn't a great fighter. So we can pretend to be anything. Our children are deliberately dying in their brain. They're being dumbed down. We really believe that watching the Emmys and whatever Jay-Z and them were on last night, like because they win, that affects us in some way. We believe that. That's Satan. They're not Satan per se, but the act of introducing something to you bigger than yourself that you will never achieve, but you can live vicariously through. See, that's called jumping on the bandwagon. That's how we are in the South. The minute someone gets a buzz, everybody is on them. If I get a buzz on Facebook, you watch how many people start to follow. Right now, I got 30. I had, 3,500 followers. But they didn't engage, so I shut the site down. And I started back over. And I started over with just a few people because that's the way I chose to be. But if I get a buzz, if somebody realized that, oh, that's Brother Johnny, he was on Fox News, and I was. That's Brother Johnny, he hangs out with Cynthia Hardy and them, and I do. If I ever get a little buzz, you watch how high my stock rises. Because we're bandwagon jumpers, but I'm not a bragger. God said be humble and keep teaching. Keep teaching. If you get one, that's good. So we have to look closely at our children. They lie so much, and they got the ability to lie from us, and we got it from our parents, and they got it from their parents. Everybody is just a liar, but we've convinced ourselves that we don't lie. I'm going to read this last thing, and then I'm going to close. I had intentions of playing some songs and kind of lightening the mood, but I know that Facebook is just going to jump dead down on me for it when I see guys running a whole music set on Facebook, and all of you all join in and share it like y'all down. Y'all some, really though. Really. Truth is truth. You know what? If I had a white wife and somebody was talking black issues and I know that what they're saying is the truth, I got to bear witness to it. See, Harry Belafonte got a white wife, but he bears witness to the truth. Robert De Niro has a white wife, but he bears witness to the truth. You get all emotional talking about he hate white people. I don't have the power to hate nobody. I hate the white mind. And I hate what has been done to black boys and black girls. You don't even have the courage to hate it. You don't even have the courage to think it in your mind that you hate it. Cowards. And you're cowards in God. You talk God, but you live in fear of the slave master and their children. You talk God. You don't even know what God looks like. You don't even know what God represents. You think God represents all good days. You don't know God puts people through pain and let people die to teach the masses of the people a lesson. You don't know that our children are going to continuously die because we're not learning the lesson. We're so busy trying to make $1 and look important and talk important, and your English is so broken you can't articulate yourself, but you look good though. And our children are dying, and we pay their way out of jail, and we hide their crimes, hide their sins. And this is the elite group of black people doing this. Black people, the elite group of blacks, have sold the masses of black folks down the river. This is a fact. I don't care how many parties they throw for you. I don't care how many times you see them at an event. If they're not telling you about what's going on and how it's affecting your children, then they've sold you down the river. Black folks got Medgar Evers killed. Black folks got Dr. King killed. Black folks got Malcolm X killed. Black folks ran Marcus Garvey out of the country and got him killed. Black folks did that. Black folks sell their own out for a position, a buttered biscuit, and a piece of chicken. That's what it amounts to. So I'm talking about the dumbing down of our children and the process in which it took to dumb them down. And any of the Caucasian people that have subscribed to my page on YouTube or on Facebook, you know how I talk. And you know that I talk from the vantage point of who I am. I don't sugarcoat that. I don't sugarcoat slavery. I don't sugarcoat February Black History Month by wearing kente cloth every day as if though we made it. I'm going to tell you the raw story. I'm going to tell it to you. A lady called me from Atlanta. She said, I had a dream about you. You were on television and you had done a documentary film, and it was very, very good. I said, thank you. I said, most people, when they dream about me, it's always something negative, but I thank you for calling. It really meant a lot because I bought all of this equipment to do documentaries. That was my initial intention. But when I had to pay for the equipment because I realized that nobody in this town would talk truth on camera, I had to go back to doing pictures, and I do that well by God's permission, videos, and I love that. But that wasn't my intent. See, so our children are not doing what they love. My son said he wanted to be an engineer at the age of 3. I bought him all types of farm equipment and all type of farm simulators, and I bought him a computer. 3 years old, 4 years old, he got his own computer. I bought him all of his brothers and sisters got together, got him a gaming system because we thought he was going to go into the technical side of things. But the world snatched him, took that desire away from him because we don't have anything to emulate or emulate. I get those two confused. Emulate, I-M-M-O-L-A-T-E, and emulate. We don't have anything to follow. See, I went to school with a friend of mine who's a white girl. We were good friends. And she said to me, you know, if I fail, that's okay, because I'll just go into the real estate business with my parents down at the lake. I said, you know, if I fail, I just fail. And I got to pay back this money and try again. So our children are at a disadvantage. We have to succeed. We have to succeed. Boys by the age of 7 have to have a path that they are on to succeed, not be feminine or none of that. Just a boy. Now, your preference of your sexual preference is your business. My son, his godfather that we asked to be his godfather was a homosexual all of his life. All of it. But I love that guy. He's a straight up dude. So I'm not homophobic now. Don't put that on me. Because if you do, all my homosexual crew gonna come and bash you because they know I'm in. Not homosexual, but I don't judge like that. We got to get them on the right path. You got to talk to them like men. You can't butter it down. You can't water it over. You got to put it right in their face. And you got to tell them, look me in my eyes when you talk to me and ask me what you have to say without the anger. Say it like a man would say it. Talk to me. And be able to receive what I say to you like a man would receive it. Men do cry all the time. Men do have doubt, confusions, and great fear because we have a lot of responsibility. I've never known a lazy black man in my life, with the exception of those who have been given great gifts but are lackadaisical in their effort to utilize the gift to maximize their potential in a world where we have so much to offer and so many opportunities to utilize for success. Teach them what success is. It's not $1 million home. It's not $1 million car. Success is when you take the best of yourself and do the best that you can with who you are and what you have. Teach them to be satisfied, but not complacent. Thank you, God, for this. But if I can move up from this to this, I'm gonna take the chance. And if I got to fall back, that's all right, because I know I can fall back on family and friends. See, I have a plaque on my wall. I wanted to rap all of my life because I thought rappers were independent of people telling them what to do. And I worked hard at it. And I left school. I graduated. I went straight to New York. I went straight to work at a lawyer's firm in New York. I was terrified, but my aunt, she really helped me. And when I was leaving New York, all of the money that I paid her for rent, she kept it. And she gave it all back to me. And when she gave it back to me, I bought a studio, everything. No one here had it. So when I came back, I recorded and I recorded and I recorded. And I recorded with a group. Many of you know who I'm talking about, all of you that were in the group. And we never got a record deal. I went to college at Morris College. I took my equipment there and I recorded there and I sent the music in. 30 days later, maybe 2 months later, Profile Def Jam Records sent me a deal saying, we like your music. We want you on our label. I'm making a point when you don't have a support system. I was so excited when I told my sisters, I got the contract. I got the deal. The first thing that one of them said, so what? You're going to end up back in Manning anyway. That frightened me so much that I didn't take the opportunity to try to do the album that they wanted me to do. I got scared because I had no support system. That's it. I think we did pretty good. I didn't have any notes today, and I wanted to talk just from the heart. And I wanted to talk about the dumbing down of our children, and I hope that it came over well, and I hope that we will get some courageous men and women who see all people as important, not just your sons and your daughters. When the police pull them over, they don't take them to jail. They call you first so that your child won't have a record, but they pull mine over and take them to jail. See, there's some elite stuff going on in that, and that's an issue. And I see the people clear. And it keeps me up. I don't sleep well. I'm like Michael Jackson. I may need some propofol to go to sleep, but I probably won't wake up because I don't sleep well, because all that is on me, and all 30-something years, just 1-2 people that would take this and run with it. But no, I've been a part of the Ministerial Alliance in Manning. I'm the dude at the front of the parade with the shirts. I designed them. But I was told, as long as you talking that Muslim stuff and that black stuff, if you stop that. I spoke at Trinity. I spoke at most of the churches here. I spoke at Morris College. I hung with Jesse Jackson. Yes, I did. I got pictures of it. But if they don't make you over, I hung with Minister Khalid Muhammad. Came to my house, cross town, knocked on my door. Asked the brothers over there. Got pictures where we talk with rappers, Mo D and Big Daddy Kane, and hanging out with people. And they talk to us. But there's always, I had a white lady that from this town. She's very lucrative, very in the know. And she told me, I can make you very popular here. But you have to stop talking like you talk. I turned it down. I said, if you make me over when you're done with me, then what will I be? I said, God told me to say these things. So if I do what you say, how will I be with him or her? Whatever God is. I feel it inside of me. I know it's real. I see the work, but I never seen the face. And nobody never died and went to heaven and came back and told me heaven is real. So that stuff, hey, it's questionable. But I know heaven and hell is real based on my life. I'm in hell right now because I'm ready to break out and just show all that I got. I'm 48 years old and I'm still confined. And our children feel that way. That's why they are so sad in class. The dumbing down of our children. It's multifaceted. I have on the website, the 19 Report on YouTube, a commentary entitled The Dumbing Down of Our Children. I have another one entitled Death by Entertainment. I have another one called Zombie Nation. It's 3 parts to that. And all of it is talking about what's happening to our children. I have another called PsyOps. And all of these things that are happening to our children and why. Now, I want to read this, then I'm done. Dumbing down, according to Wikipedia. Dumbing down is the deliberate oversimplification of intellectual content within education, literature, cinema, news, video games, and culture, in order to relate to those unable to assimilate more sophisticated information. You know what dumbing down is? Dumbing down is Minecraft, where there are these blocked figures that you just play with. But at the same time, Minecraft is very sophisticated for those who can comprehend how to build maps and worlds. But most people just play other people's worlds. Remember when everybody was getting Kodi on their TVs, on the Fire Sticks and all that? The minute the repository shut down and they couldn't figure it out, man, I just quit with it. Why? Because it's more sophisticated to operate than you anticipated. And I anticipated. So the term dumbing down originated in 1933 as movie business slang, used by motion picture screenplay writers, meaning to revise so as to appeal to those of little education or intelligence. That's when Step and Fetch It came out. That's when all the black people started to become successful because all they were doing is dancing. I mean, we dance well. But that's when that stuff became popular. Silent films, Mr. Ed, Talking Horse. They're just funny. Oh, it's so funny. Dumbing down. That's what's happening to our children. So anytime they are asked to think, they can't. So they just react. They pull a gun, pow. Why you shoot him? I don't know why I shot him. He just in the wrong place at the wrong time. But he was in his house, though. You broke in his house. I don't know, though. His house, my house, though. Everything mine, though. That's what I'm saying, though. You know what I'm saying? Whites are no better. Whites are no better. Just as dumb, but they have white privilege. So we have to pick this book back up, right? And make this book relevant. Because people are angry with the people who taught it, and they're really butchering this book in Africa right now. The African preachers are like not because it's Africa, but because they took the blueprint from America. They are like, they just slapping people and spraying bug spray at them and telling them to do all kind of crazy things in the name of Jesus. And we ain't no better. This is my dad, my father, God rest his soul. This is the book that was given to me. My mother gave it to me when he died, and I keep it. And just about every page in it is marked, and just about every page in it is understood. So I thank you for listening. This is Brother Johnny of the 19 Report, Manning, South Carolina. I hope you will share this information. I hope we will begin to look at something more than just entertainment. Yes, more than just entertainment, and figure out a way to share information of value. I want to say this at the end. There are millions of people on YouTube, and they are posting, and they have thousands and thousands of followers, and they're posting up information that is good gossip information. But it has no relevance to your life today where you are right now. Learn how to discern between what is important for you and I and what we can leave off for another time. Jay-Z and the president of the United States are debating now. Jay-Z, the rapper, and Donald Trump. He tweeting back to Jay-Z. See, that's a dumbing down. Every time someone commits a crime, we come on live on YouTube or something as if though we are actually at the crime scene and filming the crime and reporting the crime, and we are in it, standing by waiting on something to happen. I'm not one to wait on something to happen. See, if my car cuts off, if I turn the key and it doesn't crank, and then I turn the key again and it does crank, I don't forget that it didn't crank. I'm saying, why didn't that car crank? Because that's going to happen again. But we're taught, forget the past, forget the past. Well, this is a book of the past. So if you're forgetting the past, then you forget this then. This is a book of the past. See, the way we say things is so simplified that ignorant people cannot comprehend what you are saying. When you say the enemy, who is the enemy? Put a face to the enemy so I'll know who I'm fighting against. And I'll say, look in the mirror. That's your enemy. You. No ego. Find the fact that everything about you and I is egotistical, and we'll begin to fight the good fight and win by God's permission. Thank you for tuning in. I'm going to play this song at the end, and I hope I don't get flagged for it. We're going to show and tell. So that's just the game we play. Thank you very much. I don't think I played the song I want. Oh, no. Here it is. Goodness. Here we go. Thank you for tuning in, Brother Johnny Groove 19 Promotions, Manning, South Carolina.
Long to lock you inside.